Going to hit the moon soon. Thank you very much. Welcome today to this afternoon to Quinte West Council meeting. And first of all, I want to. I need a motion to go into closed session, so I'll take that. Councillor Boyce, Councillor Armstrong, all in favor? Carried. We'll move into closed session, and we'll be back here before we can't start. Okay, please stand for Indigenous land and national anthem, please.
We begin this meeting by acknowledging that Quinte West is on Indigenous land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples from the beginning. We thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Long before today, there have been Indigenous peoples who have been the stewards of this place. In particular, we acknowledge the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and the Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte First Nation. This territory is covered by numerous treaties. We recognize and deeply appreciate their historic connection to this place. We also recognize the contribution of the Métis, Inuit, and other Indigenous peoples have made, both in shaping and strengthening this community in particular, and our province and country as a whole. This acknowledgement serves as recognition of the contributions and historical significance of Indigenous peoples across Turtle Island and demonstrates our collective commitment to meet the promises and address the challenges of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission within our community.
Please be seated. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll get started. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest?
Mr. Mayor,
Sorry?
I'd like to declare a conflict on bylaw number 24-071. It's the bylaw regarding the Emerson property at 74 Pines Lane. I did declare at the planning meeting because my client was mentioned in the minutes of the agenda and the minutes of the planning meeting. My client's name does not appear in this bylaw, but I'm going to declare anyways in case the topic comes up. Thanks.
Thank you. Closed. I declare that closed, and thank you very much.
Sorry, Councillor
Approval of
Quinte,
the
what?
agenda, please. Moving a seconder. Sorry.
Sorry, Councillor Quinte, which bylaw was that?
It's bylaw 24-071.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda, please. Moving a seconder. Councillor Armstrong, Councillor Sharp. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Sorry, question? Pardon? Oh, I didn't. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, through your worship, I have one announcement if we are not skipping that part.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just wanted to make a sort of a funny announcement, or at least a humorous one, yes, thank you, about one of our Quinte West residents. His name is Todd Cole, and he owns a business in Sydney Ward and called Belleville Signs. And he's getting quite a bit of publicity in the city, and it comes from a 6-minute spot on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. It was about his challenge for the honorary mayor of Dildo, Newfoundland.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
It was on Facebook, and the campaign is on. So Todd has now been on CBC, CBC One Radio, Cool FM. He's been on the Mark and Charity podcast, CJBQ, Lauren Brooker Show, Mix 97, CBC Newfoundland, And if you watch the challenge by Jimmy Kimmel, you'll see why I would urge this council to support our residents and local business in his challenge for honorary mayor of Dildo, Newfoundland. And just a final note, he was a honorary puck dropper at the Golden Hawks game last Friday.
Yeah, you're right.
And yeah, so he's getting lots of traction here. And if you take a look at some of the things, and even this is on Newfoundland CFUC, it shows Trenton. So it makes sure it's noting our community. It's a funny, and it's getting national, international. So just
Great.
bring that to your, and he's my cousin. So that's another reason I bring it up.
So you're a Newfie.
Forgot to mention that part.
Well, you know, Anne Marie Vaughn is from Newfoundland.
Is she? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
and she's a great lady and did great work at Loyalist College.
Well-
and fantastic. And Dr. Peter Hallett, a renowned heart specialist in Belleville, is from Newfoundland, and he's one of a family of 8.
Okay. So,
Yeah, and
so
they're all
Todd is not actually, he's not actually resident. He's our resident. He's our
Okay,
Quinte
well, that's
West
fine.
resident. He's
I-
from here.
yeah.
He
I'm
was he was
pointing
on,
out that we've got
Yeah.
connections.
yeah, he was on vacation out in Dildo, which they're getting lots of traction now from this publicity. So I just, from the other side of of Canada, I wanted to make sure that Quinte West gets our share of that. So
And
anyway.
when we were at Roma, there was a video that was played, and you saw it. What did you see on it from Quinte West?
Some vandalism.
No. No. There weren't any red shirts there either, but anyways, what did you see on that video? Come on, you guys watched it. Well, it was Dahlia May Flowers was a short clip on the Roma video. I thought it was fantastic. I thought I mentioned it.
There was another video that there was vandalism too, though, so.
Okay. Was it in? Oh, that was the one. Well, no, that video you're talking about, you produced, or no? Okay. Well, the police looked after that, so we're good. Thank you. Well, no, it's great that the gentleman's doing that. That's fantastic. Wish him all the best, and as I said, we've got connections, so maybe those people that I mentioned will get their relatives as well to support. Great. Okay. Thank you, Michael. Go ahead, Mike Kotsovas.
I just want to acknowledge Wilkinson Company. They celebrated their 60th anniversary this year, which is quite a milestone, so I'd like to congratulate them once again.
Yeah.
They not only are successful at what they do, but they're such an integral part to our community when it comes to fundraisers and events. They give a lot of charity dollars as well.
Thank you. They do. You're right. Absolutely. Anything else? Any other announcements that I forgot? It's the weather is fantastic. Yeah, we can't beat that. Anybody else have anything? No? We're good? Councillor Shaw?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to, again, advise that Council has proclaimed February, as many communities have, as Black History Month.
Yes.
And there's events throughout the city, and I know there's one coming up at these four walls. And just a reminder that the proclamation, and it's Black History Month. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Great, yes, okay. Okay, approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting on January 24th. Need to move in a second. Councillor Stedall moves, seconded by Councillor Elliott. Comments or questions? Councillor Stedall.
Thank you, Worship. There is an amendment under 14, under other business, and there was a note that said that I spoke to the comments made in the press about the recent Integrity Commissioner's report, and I just wanted to make an amendment to that. The request actually
I
was...
just have to declare you out of order because I did speak with the Integrity Commissioner's office and the file is closed.
Okay, this is not to do with the file. This has to do with...
Well, the file is closed. I've done what I was asked to do.
Okay, so the request was for I would request that the minutes, that's fine, we can do a follow-up, but I'm requesting that the minutes be amended because my request was to ask for an apology to Kathy Armstrong, and that's what I'd like to see reflected in the minutes.
I would ask the clerk, Mr. Clerk.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Stedall can make that motion. She's just asking for what was captured in the minutes, or
Okay.
to reconsider what was, or restate what was captured in the minutes, and it's not any obligation towards any member of council to do anything.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So now, are you making a motion?
I'm making a motion to amend the minutes to put in that request.
Okay, need a seconder for the amendment?
I'm going to second it.
Councillor Quincy seconds. Okay. Further comments? All in favor? Yeah.
So are you saying that you want in the minutes that you made the request, or that you simply asked him to consider at some point apologizing? There's a difference between actually telling him that he needs to, or just to consider it. I went back and I read it, and you simply said, and I'll quote, at some point of time, Mayor, consider an apology to Kathy Armstrong. So is that how you want it reflected?
Correct.
What you said, and not
I would like it reflected to what is the request. Yes.
okay. Consider it. Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll make a statement at this point, and then I'll be quiet. When I called to apologize to Councillor Armstrong, I also asked to speak to his wife. And that's all I'm going to say. So, anyway, thank you very much. All in favor of the motion? That's what we need. I see 2, 3, 4.
For the minutes? Just for the minutes.
Just for the minutes?
Just for the minutes.
Okay, all right. Carried, thank you. Okay. All right, then, anything else? Otherwise, all in favor of the minutes? I guess that's what we got now with, so we're on to the resolution that the minutes of the special council budget meeting community grants held on January 31st, 24 be approved. A seconder for this one, Councillor Card and Councillor Sharp. Further comments or questions? Councillor Freeman, you have your hand up. Is that?
That was to second the motion, Mr. Mayor, but you didn't spot it, so.
Okay, sorry, thank you. Okay. All in favor? That's what I need. Carried, thank you. Delegations, petitions, non-public input. Anybody here for public input? Declare that closed. Okay, resolution that staff report Quinte West 2024-00007 regarding proposed changes to the City of Quinte West Advisory Committees be received. And, okay, we'll take that motion at this time, and then I'll go to Director Angelo and see if there's something more. All in favor of that resolution? Carried, thank you. Director Angelo, any more, I know you were concerned with this particular area, so any further comments from you with respect to the committee structure or?
Mr. Mayor, I guess just before we move to that, council just approved to accept the report as is, so I'm not sure that
Okay,
we need
so
any
leave
further
it.
discussion on it.
Okay, so
sorry.
there was no discussion.
Intention for them to have discussion.
Oh, okay.
Councillor Sharp, okay.
I swear, Mr. Mayor, I apologize. I missed, I'd like to still discuss it. I guess we've already voted to receive it, but I did have some questions and some suggestions, and I just wonder if I could still speak to it even after the fact.
It's fine with me. Anybody object? Good. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry. This report speaks to the Public Works Environmental Services aligning or grouping with transportation and environmental stewardship and transportation. And I just want to speak to that, and I understand why this recommendation is here. I guess we're just receiving, we're not approving. So with respect to this component on page 5, process to make the change, if I could, through to you, Mr. Clazy, the time frame, because it would appear some volunteers would be stepping away, and then we'd reapply, if I understand what I'm reading here. Is that correct? And timeline for process, and and how we would reach the volunteers that we're currently working with, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Councillor Sharp. Yeah, I guess if council was interested in moving forward with that option, then it would, yeah, part of it is how council wants to move forward, whether we put everybody together in one large committee or if we ask them to reapply and what that process would look like. So there could be, I would think it would probably be a month or two to see that process through by the time for us to move that forward if that's council's wishes.
Councillor Stedall?
I have a similar concern. So, I mean, I'm not sure where we are with this process, but we received the report. The Economic Development and Recreation Advisory Committees seem to be, their topics seem to be the same. There seems to be an overlap in what's being discussed at both of them. So, I mean, that's another area that I think probably could be put together. But I guess this report, you know, basically said we should wait, and also it seemed to indicate in one area where council, when they're sitting on the advisory committees, really shouldn't be making putting their voice forward. We should be assisting the members of the public, and we shouldn't be asking for staff reports to come back. So that, I mean, I'm just not sure exactly what council's role is with the advisory committees. I feel that that's why I was looking more some kind of a hybrid with members of public on standing committees that we had prior to, you know, back in 2022, is taking a look at some options for that, because I know there was discussion, and I wasn't part of the council at the time in 2022, and prior to that, I know that what I saw seemed that those committees had a lot of open discussion about, you know, reports that came back. Maybe they were meeting too often or something, but I thought they worked really well, and I was hoping that there would be some consideration for an option for us to take a look at returning to something like that, but still having the option with having the public included. But one of the other items mentioned in here is that there was only 7 more members of the public between the old system and the new system that's been implemented. And the new system that's implemented also has issues with sometimes they meet every 6 months and sometimes they're meeting every month. And I think the number of meetings is getting a little bit disjointed. So I would ask that I would recommend that we would ask staff to come back with other options besides just carrying forward with what we have, because I think there might be other options that we could explore with our committee structure.
Josh, Mr. Clerk, do you want to respond?
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Mayor, through you to Councillor Stedall and the rest of council. So what I tried to do was, with this report, was summarize some of the reasons why. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yep.
Why council decided initially to move from the standing committee model to the advisory committee model. As you know, they have different functions, they accomplish different things. And I wanted to kind of highlight how that change accomplished and alleviated some of the concerns that council had identified when we moved to the new system. What I've also tried to do was paint a picture for council of how the different models are supposed to work in principle. In my experience at other municipalities, there's a way that advisory committees function, and there's a way that standing committees function. The province also outlines on their websites, or on their website for municipalities, how the different models work and what they're trying to do. I guess by way of bringing this report forward, I was looking for some more information and direction from council as to what is council trying to accomplish by way of having committees. Is it more for public engagement? Is it more a forum to debate issues that we routinely as staff bring forward to council? So I guess we can certainly look at bringing back a number of different models, including a hybrid model, which we used to have. But I think we just need as staff a little bit more direction as to what the goals of these committees are supposed to be.
Want to comment? Go ahead.
Sure. Is there a way that you can do some kind of a survey with individual council members that might help you to at least consider the options. I mean, if everybody else is very happy around the table with what we've got, that's great. But it sounds like we've got at least a couple of committees that may want some consideration. Maybe that might be a way of getting the information back.
I think, through you to Councillor Stedall, I did speak to a number of members of council after we had that discussion at council in November. And it seemed to be kind of all over the place where everyone stood on terms of how they felt about the committees and how they were functioning and whether or not they wanted to go back to the old model. So I think, again, I'm just looking for some more direction. I'm happy to continue to have that dialogue offline with council, but I think we need to have some discussion here as well.
Councillor Freeman, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I brought up at one of our last meetings regarding this I felt very strongly that we needed the Fire Services Committee to come back because, you know, first of all, most of the councillors don't even know what goes on at our fire department. We need to have a committee that does get familiar with how it works, where the stations are, how the people in their area, especially if you're from Sydney or whatever, feel about the fire department, want more information on the fire department. The only way council and the public can find that out is by attending meetings. And they were only, I think, for a year, the chief can correct me, but we had some very great conversation around the table. It wasn't, and if we didn't have anything to bring up, then we would just cancel the meeting till the next meeting. So I didn't think it was onerous, but I think it involved councillors and the public in something that was very important to them. So why we don't want to bring back those committees, I don't understand. It isn't like we made a great deal of work for the chief and the deputy. We just wanted the public and council to be more intimate with how our fire works.
Okay, and I don't disagree with you. I had no problems with what we were doing before, but that's me. And I'll tell you that I was at the training tower on Saturday, and there were 20 volunteers at the training tower both Friday and Saturday and taking officer training. 20 individuals there. Fantastic. Fantastic that they're wanting to be better, and fantastic that they're working. The group who were there came from Bancroft, Crammy, Prince Edward County, all over. So it's working. It's working well. And I have no, if Josh, you want to know where I stand, I don't want any more meetings, but I don't mind the structure we had before. So that's my opinion.
Absolutely.
Councillor
I
Kunz.
agree.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I did want to try this process out that we did switch to, and I feel that we really haven't given it enough time. But on the other hand, the committee structure that we did have previously, that's the only experience I've had in dealing with the council, and I do feel that it worked quite well. So if we do switch back to the previous way of doing the business of the city, I'm in support of either way, because I'm going to be attending the meetings, and I'm going to have my say whether it's at council or a committee meeting. I don't quite follow the advisory part where we're just supposed to participate in guiding the citizens, but if that was the idea or the intent, then we don't have enough citizens on our advisory committees as they stand. So I'm leaning to switch back to the previous way we were doing business.
Next, coming this way. Councillor Elliott.
Yes, I think staff has known what my feelings were. I was never in favor of abolishment, or I would favor the reinstatement of the Public Works Committee and the Protective Services, which Councillor Freeman has talked about. I know at that time it was even talked about getting rid of economic development, but you did reinstate that in some form, I think, whether it's exactly the same as it was before, but it was an important committee. The only one I suggested that I approved was the corporate finance, which was just a few members of council. And if all members of council, there was never any public members set on it, but it streamlines that business. You don't have to have approval of minutes, and if there's important financial stuff that has to be done, it can be approved then and move forward. So other than that, I think I thought our previous committees worked well. I know we got into the speed limit thing there for a while, and we did get a subcommittee for that, which made sense over and above Public Works. But Public Works did deal with it too, also to bring it forward. But I think it's created a lot more work for the director of Public Works because they're so, I call them fragmented committees that have, I guess, concerns and questions. And while I am not on a lot of them, I watch them and I see what they've brought forward. If I didn't watch it on YouTube, I read the minutes and whatever. But I think the other way got a lot of work done and dealt with a lot of good business. And over the years, I think it worked well. So that's where I stand. I never did change, but I understand council wanted to try this, and it's good that you're taking another look at it. Thank you.
Anyone else this way? Councilor Card?
Thank you, Your Worship. And I guess that I think that there's a lot of disparate views. It sounds like there are some members want to bring back some committees, and others I'm not sure about necessarily opening up this debate again, because I think we'll have 13 different views. So I'm comfortable with keeping the status quo, although I think it's certainly fair that the next council reassess the situation and organize it to their needs. Certainly, I did want to speak just as chair of environmental stewardship, and I understand that it seems to be a consensus that folding the committees in. I think that a couple of just points that I want to make. I think that it's very important to facilitate a role for all of the public members on environmental stewardship, and whether that's a working group or seats on the new committee. I think that it would leave a bad taste in their mouth. But potentially, I don't want to speak for people, but it's a very active committee. I think out of four public members, there's only been one missed meeting. Very actively engaged, very hardworking, and very dedicated. And so I would really like if there could at least be an environmental stewardship working group if under the new Public Works Committee, if that is council's will. But I do think it's important for environmental stewardship, and talking to some other members, how Councillor Cassidy had kind of pushed for it to be a standalone committee, and I think that it is one of our strategic objectives as a city, and I look at all of the really important work that's going to come forward the next year with the producer responsibility for recycling, and we had the trash jogger we're looking at opportunities for kind of controlling litter in some of the locations, and the garbage and organics program contract is up. I think that we have some opportunities to save taxpayers money by looking at different delivery models for that service. That contract is up in a couple of years, and I've only had a discussion at the staff level, but I think that Quinte West would do well to show leadership on this issue with a facilities sustainability plan that all city facilities, whether run or managed by the city or with partner agencies, to have a kind of set of standards for sustainability with waste recycling and organics programs and staff training, and so I think we can show leadership on this issue, and though I wish it was a standalone committee, I would like to see it at least as a working group, and most importantly, just that we're able to allocate staff resources to the important work of environmental stewardship, it being such a strategic objective for the city. And I think there are a lot of community members that want to see us work on that, and a lot of opportunities in that field. So that's all I want to say. Thanks.
Going that way, Councillor Katsovas, you okay?
Sure, Mr. Mayor. In terms of the old way, it seemed like maybe there was a bit more things that were being passed. I know most of council decided to try this model because it was more respectful of staff's time. We weren't getting into overtime. It was at a better time of the day for them to meet. I think after reading this report, it just seemed that the unnecessary need for, correct me if I'm wrong, the request for any staff reports from the committees I've been involved with are, if we don't reach a consensus, the the fallback is to ask for a staff report. And I know that staff want to get away from that because it does create more work. As Councillor Card mentioned, I don't think it's very respectful of the public's time and effort that they put into these applications to just forego it at this point. If it's the rest of council's wish to go back to the old way, I would just suggest that this current model be honored for one more year, and at least it's the halfway point. And again, that these public members have had a chance because they did put in the time and effort to apply to these positions.
Thank you. Councillor
Mr.
Sharp
Mayor?
or Councillor Boyce, one of you. Oh, sorry, I'll come back. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, thank you,
Councillor
Mr. Mayor. I'm hoping staff can come back with all these comments with some kind of hybrid, but I like the idea of the standing committees and the minutes coming to council as we did, because this, to me, looks like more work for staff from where I read this. And I like the suggestions of the working groups where applicable, so we can ensure the volunteers and the skill sets that we have. But I just wanted to comment on that. Thank you.
Councillor Boyce.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I certainly agree with both Councillor Card and Councillor Constable. I think some of the committees have only met 2-3 times, so the idea that Councillor Constable had mentioned about giving it another year makes sense to me, and also the idea that Councillor Card talked about the standalone environmental stewardship program. I think that makes a lot of sense to continue with that program. And I'd also want to comment that the chair of any of the advisory committees that we have has the opportunity to call more meetings if the need be. We've got a set standard of meetings, but if items are if the meetings are going too long or there's just so many things on it, then they can certainly call more meetings. So I'm happy with the status quo, but I'd like to keep the environmental stewardship as a standalone.
Councillor Freeman.
Thank you. The only, we're not looking to end any of the important committees at all, but the very word advisory makes it sound like you're almost being condescending to the members of those committees. Like you can listen and you can encourage the public, but don't do any more than that. I've never felt that before, and when I saw it in writing, I thought, my God, that's exactly what's happening. At the very first meeting we had of economic development, even the public members said, what are we doing here? We're just being told what's going to be happening. There's no input, there's no anything. So that's what I miss. And the fact that we do not have the fire meetings anymore, I don't know why they ended. They aren't as an advisory meeting, they aren't any kind of a meeting. And to me, that's one of the most important meetings for the public to be attending, etc. What do we hear about the fire department here at council? The mayor brought up the tower. Councillors, you would normally go on tour if they were, I went on tour for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks with the chief and deputy, and I don't understand why that ended. So that is one of the many that I think is important, but I don't like the word advisory as opposed to stand, whatever the heck the other word is. But we need to have participation in those meetings, not just listen to what's being done. And for economic development to be so unimportant that it's only a few times a year, if you have to miss a meeting for a very important reason, it's almost, it's what is it, 6 months or more before you actually get to attend a meeting again. So I don't think we should give it another year. I think we tried it, and it is condescending to put us on those meetings.
Thank you. And anyone else over here? This way? Okay, Councillor Boyce.
Thank you. And as far as the fire meeting, since I've been a councillor in Quinte West, I've seen the opportunity for the public to go to various open houses at the various 7 stations. So I think the public has the opportunity to find out what the stations are doing. There's certainly open houses, and I think that I personally don't see the need for a fire committee, and I think the word advisory is. When I used to sit on the environmental committee in Belleville, we were an advisory committee, but we would make recommendations to council. Council was the final decision maker, but we were simply there to advise them on issues and such as building sustainability and programs and a way to save money and different things. But I don't find the word advisory condescending. I find it helpful when council asks for, what does this group who specializes in this particular idea, what do they think about it? I don't see it as a condescending group.
Did you read the writing about the advisory? Did you read what they say our role is? That's what disturbed me.
Oh, okay. What I see as the advisory committee is that we're all working as a group, the citizens and the councilors, and we're coming forward with recommendations to council overall. That's the way that when I'm on the committees, that's the way I do it.
Well, that isn't what it says we're supposed to do.
Comment?
CAO Clazy and his team came to us with the recommendation that we consider amending the committee portfolio to try to align with the directors and the departments. And I'm hoping, if I'm reading through this correctly, that if we're going to make some adjustments, that we can do the same thing and include the fire and emergency services, or whatever exactly we called it at the time, because that is one of our departments. So just trying to keep it simple, is there a way that we can have a committee for each of our directors and try to make it work that way? So that's just a suggestion, just looking from above. That way, each of our directors will have a committee of council and members of the public. And perhaps, I know that would certainly make Mr. Angelo's job much easier, because right now he's got three committees that he has to come to, and it would be way better and way more efficient if each of our directors just had one committee to answer to. And however you want to organize that's my observation and suggestion. Thanks.
Okay. Councillor Elliott.
Yes, just in further to Councillor Boyce's comments, the previous committees did make recommendations to council. Council had the final say, whether it was public works or fire or whatever. But the members of the public sat on there along with councillors, and anybody else that had been here prior knows how that works. So it wasn't just an advisory per se. There was input and there was motions passed and presented to council, but council had the final say, the same as we do with planning advisory or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, are you fine now, Mr. Clerk? Got enough to be confused totally? CAO Clazy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess I'd just like to make a few comments before I guess we go any further. Part of the reason we came forward with the changes a year or so ago when this council took office, we tried to listen to some of the comments we'd heard from previous councils. And, one of the things that we heard was about all council being able to be involved with the discussion and the decision making. And with our old committee structure, more often than not, council really just approved minutes. Most of the time there wasn't a lot of discussion, and we certainly heard from a number of councillors that they didn't feel that they were part of that kind of original discussion and decision making, and so that was one of the things we tried to address. We also tried to structure this in a way that it better align with our strategic plan and our strategic objectives as an organization. And as well, looking at one of the other things we'll have to consider if council goes down this road is how do we, if we do revert back, then we have a significant number of committee members that we would have to come up with a process on and how we deal with that. And I guess my other comment would make, even though we may be, if we go back to our old way, that may be better for one director, but we've also got other directors under the old situation that went to multiple committees as well. So whether we have this structure or the old structure, we're still going to have staff going to multiple committee meetings. So I wanted to make those few points and observations before council gives us any more direction.
Councillor Stevo.
Just a couple of points for clarification and for some of those. So With the old councils, you know, one of the things that happened with the prior councils is that there wasn't the ability to watch any of our meetings on YouTube. So prior to the pandemic, everything was done in person. So yes, there were lots of meetings that people either weren't invited to, so they didn't attend. But I know I'm not a member of the planning committee, and I watch all the planning committee meetings that are going on because they're on YouTube. I can, you know, watch them. I don't have to be a participant because I know as a member of council, the information's going to come back here and we're going to talk to it. So I think things have changed since when those, you know, the previous councils made those or talking about that. The other thing is one of the issues was that the overtime that the staff was having to have because they were having all of these meetings. Well, all of our council meetings start at 4, not at 7 anymore. So the amount of overtime should definitely have been reduced even just by that standard. These meetings, I know they're starting at 3, but we've changed all of the time. So, I mean, that whole topic of how much overtime the directors are putting in for and other staff are putting in for the meetings, that's gone. I mean, it's reduced. I'm not saying it's gone because I know our meeting tonight probably we're not going to get out of here till 8 o'clock, but if it started at 7, we wouldn't be getting out of here till 11. So, I mean, there's been some efficiencies made in the system, I think. And what I think we're looking for, the strat plan too, was done with the previous council. I don't know when the strat plan's coming back for this council so that we can revisit it. Usually the strat plans are done every 4 years, so I'm not sure when that'll happen. But that wasn't this council's strategic plan. That was the previous one. So not saying it'll be a lot of changes. I think what I would request is that it be another staff report that comes back with some options for us to build a hybrid system off of what we have now and what we had before that marries the two and keeps some our public members, maybe shuffles them around a little bit to what they're doing. It'll take a moment to try and figure this out, but I think that what we had and what we have, there's a little bit of good things in both of us, and it's just I'm suggesting that we have options brought back to us of what we can do that would build this better.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Clerk?
Through you to Councillor Settle, the rest of the council, I think at this point, in terms of being able to prepare some options and bring that back to council for their consideration, I would need to know which committees in particular council would be interested in keeping, which ones they would want to get rid of, and in terms of bringing back previous committees, which ones we would want to bring back, which ones we wouldn't. I mean, at this point, I think I still need some more direction.
Mr. Mayor.
Well, I thought we were clear. We wanted, you know, anyways.
Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Quinte.
Did Clerk Masha say, hopefully I'm trying to say that name correctly, sorry.
Josh, it's easier to say.
Thanks, McKechnie. Could he send us like a brief questionnaire and we could respond to him, or is he looking for the answer here right tonight?
Well, I'm sure he can send a brief questionnaire and get your response. I'm sure you can do that.
Is that
Mr.
simpler?
CEO Clazy?
Mr. Mayor, I guess my concern with that is Josh has already had some conversations
Yes.
with a number of council, and we keep coming back around in circles. And I agree with him that we really need some more direction from council before we go away and bring something back, because I really feel we're going to go away and bring something back, and I don't feel right now we have enough direction to bring something back that council would be in line with what we bring
All right,
back.
so do you want to, we make a motion then that we stay with the status quo? Somebody want to make that, or no?
All right, I'll make the motion that we keep
Move
going
for
forward the way we're
consequences.
going at this point in time.
What we're doing right now, follow with what we're doing now. Councillor Boyce seconds. Any further comments or questions? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anybody out there? Motion's lost. Pardon? Why, did I count correctly? Oh, Councillor Freeman, you got,
No, I
no?
didn't vote for it.
She
I
didn't.
voted against it.
You don't, oh, you spoke in favor of it. Okay, thank you.
No,
She didn't.
I,
No.
no, I,
The status quo, she didn't.
I want to go back to the way we were doing it.
Okay, all right,
That's what
then the motion's lost. So
Yes.
what are we gonna do? What's the direction left?
I would like to
Pardon?
make a motion that we go back to the way we were doing it on a hybrid basis. If there's some juggling or committee meetings that we did not have before that are very important to us now, that's fine. But let's not carry on with something that apparently the majority of us don't think is being very successful.
Okay, so we got a motion, I gotta have a second.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, two members are missing. So
Pardon?
two members are missing.
Yes, that's right.
So I believe you'd be the tie-breaking to that last vote, or it would have carried with 6.
6 out of 11 is a
Oh, I'm
majority.
sorry. Yeah, I voted for it. So it would have carried. Oh, okay. Sorry, I was counting everybody being here. Sorry about that.
So, Mr. Mayor, you want to continue on the way it is?
That's what the motion was. And,
Okay, well then, check it again, or we're gonna go forward.
okay. Let's read the motion and we'll ask for a recorded vote.
The motion, Mr. Mayor, is just that we keep doing what we're doing. We
you.
move forward with
Okay.
the current
That's the motion.
structure.
All right,
We should,
so
we should.
keep doing
yeah,
what we're doing.
We should.
And what we review in
And
12
still
months?
without a fire, and still without a fire and emergency.
Review in 12
services
months?
meeting.
No, what I'm saying, it should be reviewed in 12 months. That's what I'm asking. If you're,
And still have no fire and emergency
that-
services meeting, correct?
just a minute, are you in favor of that, or you want to? Okay,
Yep, I'm fine with it.
okay, okay, all right. Okay, got the,
Could
it's-
I speak to it?
okay. I'm ready for the vote.
Yeah, so the motion is that we continue forward with the same committee structure that we have. And review it in 12 months, is that?
Yes.
Yes.
Can we make a friendly amendment to the 12 months and make it 8 months so that it's before we set up our schedule for next year? Like we get the review come back in November so that we can set up our schedule. Right now, we've got missed committee meetings because
That,
It's not
I
set,
have no
it's come-
problem with it when we review it. I just want to make sure we review it. That's my point. And if it's before the next year, that's fine with me. But I didn't make the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to point out, 8 months from now, our staff is going to be really busy with budgeting process, so I think we should wait until this time of year after the budget is over with. So 12 months, we're sticking to the 12 months. I'm not going to change it.
Take it to the 12 months then. All right, so all in favor of status quo reviewing in 12 months? That's what I need to know. So we want a recorded vote. Want a recorded vote. Okay.
Okay. Counselor Ellier.
No.
Counselor
Yes, with the review.
Counselor Boyce.
Yes.
Counselor Card.
Yes.
Counselor Freeman.
No.
Counselor
Yes.
Counselor Kunze.
Yes.
Counselor O'Neill.
Yes.
Counselor Sharp.
No.
Counselor Stedall.
No.
Mayor Harrison.
Yes.
You have 7 yeas and 4 noes.
Okay, so we're staying with the status quo. Thank you. Okay. All right, then we're going on to reports here. The next one is finance, that council received the 2024 budget book as information. Mover for that, please. Need a mover? Counselor Allier, seconded. I need a seconder. Counselor Card. Okay. Comments or questions? Counselor Sharp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to acknowledge this book and how helpful it was in this particular format and something to be updated and go back to. So I just want to note, I thought it was excellent. Thank you.
I agree. Okay, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, and that the council received the 2024 tax increases by class wards as information. Move Stedall, Councillor Stedall, Councillor Kunze. Second, any questions or comments? All in favor? Thank you very much. Wow. Turn page here. Resolution we received for information, the purchasing and risk management regarding the fourth quarter purchasing and non-standard purchasing updates. Okay. Receive as information. I need a mover. Councillor Boyce. Need a seconder. Councillor Sharp or Councillor Freeman, are you seconding or question? Thank you. Okay. Comments or questions? Councillor Stidall.
Thank you, Worship. Just a question on the tax sales. It says that the tax request for tender closed on August the 29th, and it says that there's a report coming back. I'm just wondering when that report will be coming.
Sorry, I don't have a time right now, but staff is looking into getting that report as soon as we can.
All right. All in favor of receiving this information? And the next one, I guess they're all the same, so we could receive them all as information and ask questions on any one of them. Is that okay?
Excuse me, Your Worship.
Mr. Clerk, you good with that?
Excuse me, Your Worship.
Just a minute.
If council is okay with moving them all at once, that's council's will.
Councillor Stedall.
I would suggest that we move through them individually. These are really important items. I know staff takes a lot of time bringing them forward, and I would suggest that we did at least bring them up individually.
Okay, all right then. Okay, we're at the C. Is that the one where, I'm at E, sorry, E. Staff, Caleb, Director of Finance, regarding financial indicator review. Okay, mover and a seconder for this one. Get it on the floor. Councillor Boyce moves, seconded by Councillor Stedall. Questions or concerns, or Councillor Stedall?
So this report, the financial indicator review, is something that's done for all municipalities across the province. And you can see if you, there's 7 different areas where we're rated. And of significance, the moderate rating that the city is getting on debt servicing as a percentage of total revenues is considered moderate. But that's not actually a good factor. You're better to have a low factor, which we do. Out of the 7 categories, we have got 4 of them. The moderate, the issue is that the city has a lot of debt. And in comparison to both the median and the average, we're at 8.8%, and the median and average are around 4%. So, we're pretty much double. The debt here is high, and I just wanted to, the other items, it looks like we're doing very well with, trying to renew our assets. The amortization is a moderate factor. The reserves are in good shape. From these factors, and it is based on 2022. But I did want to bring that information up. It is something that council should review on an annual basis.
We do, and we will. And does this a reflection of the PILT money?
Through your worship, no, there's no PILT money in there. This is the 2022 financials, and so it's about a year behind. But yeah, Councillor Stedall kind of pointed out the main factor, which is the debt, which is a little bit different than our comparators. And yeah, no other comments.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Card.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I would concur with Councillor Stedall, and I think it's been a good decision by council for the last 2 budgets to give direction to Director Denouden about not letting that our leverage levels let the municipality get more leveraged. And is it 20% is actually the provincial cutoff? So we're about halfway to kind of provincial imposed debt ceiling, if you will. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 25%. Yeah. 25%.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Oh, you got a comment, question?
Just that these being the 2022 numbers, our debt is even higher since we've passed the budget, because we did go out and borrow more money, or we're going to. And but the work is still getting done that needs to get done. Well, most of it's getting done that needs to get done because there's lots to do. So these are, I guess this is, it's good to get a report card, but it's also a good point to mention that the statistics are from like 18 months ago or longer. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Next one is, D, right, or? F. F, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble, I wrote over top of it. Regarding the 2024 asset change summary. Mover and a seconder for this one, please. Get it on the table. Councillor Elliott moves, Councillor Card seconds. Questions or comments? Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the Director of Finance. Our total percentage change was up like 1.53%. How does that compare to other municipalities? Is that a bigger percentage on the base or roughly the same?
Through your worship, yeah, it really depends on the municipality we're comparing to. Locally and for ourselves, that has been the average for the last few years. Prior to, I think it was 2018, we were much lower, more like 0.8%. So that average has been more consistent the last few years for Quinte West, and I believe locally as well.
And the assessed hasn't changed. Is there not something in the financial information return that gives the average increases for that, or no?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Well, the financial information return from the province gives comparatives for other municipalities. So would our 1.53% increase be compared in the financial information return somewhere?
Yeah, correct. So yeah, in the comparison of the FIR amongst other municipalities, we could see that comparison, whether it's Eastern Ontario, all of Ontario. I don't have that number offhand, but I can look into that.
Bring it back to next council. Is that possible?
If you wish, like a motion here for a report, or just if you'd like, I could just email Councillor O'Neill.
I think would be fine.
That would be fine. I just, unfortunately, I didn't think of it to ask till now. I apologize for that.
Okay, just that information. No, if you have extra money, we won't take it. It's okay. Put it where it belongs. Okay, all right. Councillor Steno.
And I guess just a note is that most of our growth is actually in residential. I mean, that's what it's showing, and so which is not really. We're hoping that we can get some growth in commercial and industrial, especially with the industrial. But that is our main component, is our residential at this point.
Anything? No. Councillor Boyce. You had your hand up, or am I dreaming? Okay, you must have been waving at me. Thank you. Okay, all in favor of that one? Thank you very much. Carried. Okay, G then, Minister of Finance 2024 property tax decisions. On that one?
Yes.
Councillor Quinte?
This is the first I've read about a levy restriction from the Minister of Finance. Is this something that's always been in place? It's the first time I've ever heard of this before. Are staff able to respond to that, or?
Yes, Your Worship. I don't believe this is new for us. We had known that there is this is multi-residential. Sorry, one second.
My question is the levy restriction comment that's made in the minister's letter, where are property classes subject to the levy restriction continue to have the flexibility to apply municipal tax increase to those classes of up to 50% of any increase applied in the residential class. Yes. So are they speaking to the overall levy, the tax levy? Are they speaking to, like, we have a capital levy, we have a tax levy, we have in the Trenton ward, we have the fire levy for the fire services. Like, how exactly what are they actually asking us to do? Is it overall or broken down into our categories we have?
we're talking about there's classes of properties such as multi-res where we have tax ratios. So we apply our residential tax rate by a ratio. If our ratio is outside of the provincial guidelines and it becomes a restricted class, then we would be restricted on the tax increase that that class would have. We have no classes that are restricted, and so therefore this clause does not affect the tax increases in Quinte West.
And so right now, at this point in time, this has nothing to do with the city of Quinte West. This is like just a general overview. They send us this letter. So if at some point in time we were to have a class such as this, then we'd have to follow the rules and regulations. Because if we don't have one now, then we can't even put one in.
We're not going to either.
All right.
That's correct. The Provincial Tax Act is updated every year with the education rates and some minor adjustments and clauses. And these are this is a letter highlighting those clauses. This kind of makes council aware also if there are new things. We had the business education taxes changed a couple years ago. So this letter, annual letter, highlights some of those changes in the Act for council.
Okay, well, thanks. That's true. And you're right, Mr. Mayor, we aren't planning on having any, but, you know, there's always future councils and future decisions.
I'm not worried about that. Councillor Stedall.
This is a bit of a good news story for the taxpayers, is that the education rates have not gone up from 2023 to 2024, so the impact on the tax bill is going to be of assistance, so that's the one good news part of it, is that we're not going to see any increase.
Should be good news. Or is good news, I guess I should say, yes. Well, any other comments or questions? All in favor? Carried, thank you. All right, so I think I'm at the planning and at the minutes of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting held on January the 18th.
So moved.
Councillor Elliott moves, seconded by Councillor Katsovas. Questions or comments? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, so now I've got correspondence, post a proclamation that the council proclaimed Thursday, October 17, 2024, as lighted up for Endeam in the city of Quinte West. Mover and a seconder, Councillor Sharp moves, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Is that possible? Any questions or comments? Anyone? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay. And that the printed information, both non-printed and printed, be received. Councillor Boyce moves, seconded by Councillor Freeman. Thank you. Any questions or comments on any of the printed? Councillor O'Neill.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the fire chief. The letter from Prince Edward County about expanding the length of the fire trucks. How do you feel about that? Especially when we can't really, it costs so much to replace all the trucks. Would that be a safety issue if they expanded it?
Through your worship, Council O'Neill, I know that that's gone out to many municipalities, and I think the main thing is to see how much use that fire truck has. But again, following safety checks and their pump tests and everything, and we look at that right now as well. You know, if we can get a few more years out of a truck, we'll keep it. And I've talked to underwriters, and as long as we have our safety checks, our pump tests, and our maintenance records, we can do that.
So you'd be in favor of it, is what you're saying?
Yeah, yes, I would be.
Thank you.
But again, sometimes the trucks look fine on the outside. It's underneath where they get rotten and the pumps go, so.
But you do inspections for that too, right?
Yes, we do, yep.
But you brought up a good point, sir. I'm going over to Mr. Clazy and Director Angelo, because we have an operations center and we have mechanics there, and they're doing work on our vehicles. And if we had additional help at that facility, we could then do work on our fire vehicles, which we're right now praying that Paul Lafferty will continue doing what he does, which I'm sure he's considering something else is called hanging up his tools. But we need to look forward, and I think I've mentioned this before, as to how we can do more work, internal work, and make sure the equipment is safety, which you do. You have to take it someplace to get it done. Are you now, or can you do it?
Yes, Your Worship, and I'll comment on that because the new trucks, there's so many computers and, quite often the manufacturer comes in with a mobile unit and they have to have a laptop. And we had actually a truck break down the other day and it was a computer module. And it had to be towed to Belleville, actually. So, yeah, it's
I don't like
a lot. As you know, Paul Lafferty does a great job for us, but the electronics and the computers on the newer trucks it's over his head, and a lot of people. You have to get the manufacturer to come in and look at them.
Becoming more and more complicated.
Yes, they are.
So, but anyways, I'll throw that out there. Director Angelo, any comment at this time, or?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I think from myself and Mr. Clazy's point of view, if council were so inclined to give staff direction to provide a report back to council on a business case for, and a report based on what you're suggesting in terms of hiring additional mechanics to take on additional fleet maintenance for fire or even Quinte access, we'd be happy to do that. But we really need that direction from council.
Okay, thank you. I know I can't make the motion, but I would ask.
Well, I'll make the
somebody else.
motion
Councillor
that,
Coetzee moves.
yeah.
Councillor Elliott seconds. Further comments or question? Bringing back a report to staff on the operations center and how they can look at possibly doing.
Yeah, adding a mechanic
Yes,
or whatever's necessary to add a mechanic.
yes. That's what we're putting out there. Councillor Stedall.
I guess my concern is we just finished budget, and this is a new budget item that would be brought up, so why is this a month
We're
later?
looking for a report.
Getting it.
I think we're getting a report back. That's what we're getting. And
Okay.
I know that the fire department, if they're taking vehicles out, they're paying to have it done. So if we could do it internally, then we're able to help their budget, but also I think maybe get a little support for the mechanics. That's the way I'm looking at it. But anyways, we'll get a report and see what happens. May not work. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we need to look at being efficient. Councillor Stedall. Sorry. Councillor Card. Holy joe.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I mean, I would be interested to see a business case, certainly, if there's an argument that it would save us money by outsourcing this work, then I'm sure that council could be supportive of that if that's what the report ends up saying. But I think it's certainly at some point, maybe before the next budget, that information could be helpful if it's a way to save money and have the same service and maintenance done.
Trucks have to be ready to roll. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Point of clarification, if the Public Works did work for a fire truck, would that not just get billed out to the fire department budget and then it'd be revenue for the Public Works? So it won't cost, we need to know how much it'd save, but the expenditure would go under the fire department. It wouldn't go under Public Works.
That's right.
Yeah.
But then we'd get some of that fire budget. That's the way I see it. So it would go towards.
It depends on the cost savings.
Well, I
Yeah.
know, but that's where it would go. So, and that's what I'm seeing. But listen, we're looking at it. Okay, all in favor? That's what I need to know. Carried, thank you. I'll go with that. All right, thank you very much. Okay, now, anything else under printed or
Yes.
Councillor Coetzee?
Mr. Mayor, there's a note or a paragraph here from John McCall making some reference to a 9% increase in the taxes, but the taxes weren't increased by 9%. So is somebody going to respond to Mr. McCall of what the actual tax rate was, or did this email come before Christmas before we decided? It's just kind of confusing to me as to why this is even here.
Mr. Clazy? You look it up and respond to him?
It's on page 291 of the agenda. It's an email. I guess it's an email to the clerk. I don't know if it was an email or a letter or a phone call.
Yeah,
And it's
we
just
can
a
look at it.
paragraph.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to Councillor Quinte, really, this was just, my understanding is just provided as input through the clerk's office to council on the proposed tax increase. And we've just provided it to council for information.
All right, well, if Mr. McCall is listening, the tax increase was 6.66%, not 9% as he's indicated or inferenced in his letter. Thanks.
We'll look at it and contact them. Sure we can. No problem. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Okay. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, we're good. That's anything on a new business is what I've got now.
12 non-printed information.
I thought I did printed and
Bylaws.
non-printed. Okay. Bylaws be read the first, second, and third time. Is there anything else on? Okay, I need a mover and a seconder to pass bylaws. Councillor Sharp moves, seconded by Councillor Card. Comments or questions? All in favor? Thank you. Anything under new business is what I've got. So I am. Anything under new business? No. Okay, declare that closed. All right. Okay, confirmation. I just want to mention before we adjourn, just this to Inspector Reeve. I've had some individual reach out to me with respect to, and I think Director Angelo, maybe you were working on calming measures for roads or speed bumps or photo radar or whatever. Is there anything that's coming forth to council with respect to that?
I think it was red light cameras was one of it.
Yeah, that's all photo radar. Is there a difference?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Director Angelo?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I know at the last Active Transportation Committee, there was a direction to staff to provide a report back to committee on traffic calming initiatives throughout our municipality. And with that will be something that I'll be looking into for automatic speed enforcement in community safety zones and school zones. I still have to discuss this with Inspector Reeve, but that report will be forthcoming this year.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Inspector? Or you've had a busy couple of weeks, or well, I shouldn't say. Yes, very.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, we do collaborate on areas where traffic calming would be effective, or certainly pointing out areas where we have a higher rate of collisions or more complaints around speeding or our data indicating that speeds are too high. But that really is something where we then make the referral to Director Angelo. So we'll have those conversations, and I look forward to seeing that report as well.
Thank you. Anything else? Anything else? Chief, everything good with you? And
Yeah, I should add too, about their truck that broke down is one of the ones we're replacing. I should have clarified that, but I didn't. And I just wanted to tell you too, Your Worship and Council, that Deputy Smith in Belleville just texted me, said Belleville are declaring an emergency, state of emergency tomorrow because of their mental health and addiction, homeless. Apparently Ottawa and Hamilton have done the same.
it's the same here, but we're not quite at that level, but we've got, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. I appreciate all the work that people do to look after these situations, because it is, it's very traumatic, I think, and I know that people don't choose to be addicts. I know that. You know it. We know it. So anything that can be done to help them is what we need to do. So keep it up. That's my opinion. So I thank you very much, and I know there are Loyalist College has a good program for your policing recruits, and I thank Inspector Reeve for being on top of some of those situations and inviting young people to work with our police officers and help them get a good idea of what's involved and how to move ahead. So I thank you very much, and I know Lori and Chief Whalen have been working on recruits and volunteers on the program. And as I said, I was at the training tower on Saturday, and they were there both Friday and Saturday. 20 individuals from all over looking at completing their level 1 officer training. Is that correct? Yes. So.
Yes, that's correct. The level 1 and 2 for the officer training. Yes.
It's great to see them and great to be there. So, okay. Anything else? Otherwise, I need a 2 for confirmation and 2 for adjournment. Councillor Boyce, Councillor O'Neill, Councillor Sharp, and Councillor Boyce. How's that? Anybody disagree? Thank you very much. Oh, I know. I wanted to tell you one thing else. One thing more. The other day at the hospital, that particular invitation was embargoed by Mr. Smith's office. So when it came to my office, it was absolute silence. That's what I had to adhere to. And Councillor Neal was there, but he found out, and he'll tell you, he didn't get it from me.
I will tell you, I didn't hear it from you. I had heard from someone else that everyone was invited, but it's all looked after as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
And listen, if I can invite you, I'm there I want you there. I'm not wanting to be there alone. I'd love to have you anytime. So thank you very much. And, when we were at Roma, the health minister indicated to us that there were things coming for the hospital, and we weren't sure what. And I can tell you, I did speak to the Premier one day this week, and he said that there, how do I say it? There's, let's say there's more good news coming. That's it. That's all I can tell you, but we'll take it, and I appreciate the work that's being done by everybody to make healthcare even more available for all people. Thank you. Adjourned.